Can't believe it, it's taken me all day.
He's gone mad.
My idea of Bo Diddley. Kind of just making this up as I go along.
I was going to say, I thought C6 Steve was going to come in for a visit.
Got in mind some sort of skeletal design. Been going through the timber rack and decided it was time to do some more with the reclaimed timber that I've got. This is part of an old mahogany double door frame. Perfect for necks. I've just made a couple of necks out of it. It's quarter sawn. I believe it was fitted in the 1950s, so probably got some considerable age. Got enough of that for about half a dozen necks. Several pieces of this mahogany left. This dates back, well, the history of it we know back to about 1910. It was a cutting table in a tailor's shop. It seems to be one piece. I could never find a joint in it. About 700mm wide and 1800 long. I've already made several Bayou style guitars out of this and it worked really well. Got a stash of this. Looks dreadful in its white paint. I think it's from the 1950s, but obviously no idea when it was first machined. And it looks like sapele. This came from a building next to my workshop. Historically it was a pub, then it was a Tesco's, then it was a sex shop, and then it was a big charity shop. I would think these were fitted, as I say, in the 1950s, looking at the moulding on them and the way the paint is. This is a great piece. I've cut this from a church pew that I found on the street one Sunday morning. You can make your own mind up where I was going on a Sunday morning. Anyway, it's got a great patina on the back. Unfortunately, I can't use the wood in a manner that will be the front, and I'll have enough for 2 or 3 guitars. It's really quite weighty, although it won't be when it's been machined down to size. Solid pine, it's lovely. And for those of you, you tone wood aficionados, you should have switched off a couple of minutes ago. We've already done something on that, and Asa will flash that now. But just remember, Brian May's guitar was made out of an old fireplace, and he's done quite well with it. Right, we'll have another look at what's left of the pew now. Get this stripped down. There's a board big enough for one guitar body. This was one end of the pew. You can just make out the number 19 there, which would have been in gold leaf. Very thick. It's about 45mm, 50mm. And that was the back, and that was the seat. That's probably good enough for one body. And then we've got part of the bench seat. It's about 30mm thick. Quite flat. That should work well. I might machine it down into a top. I've not decided yet. That's the sapele. Turned out quite well. This is the old cutting table. I've just put it through the planer on one side. This will be the back. The colour is great. That's the original colour. You can see over the years how it's darkened. I mean, it doesn't feel like there's any substance on there other than, I don't know, a million people's hands rubbing over it and grease and dirt, I guess. But it's got such a great original patination that will be the front of the guitar. And the back, I don't know how I'll finish it. Maybe oiled, but I've had to plane that to get them both to the same thickness. I'll probably run that through the planer, just take the tiniest fraction off it so we've got a similar colour. There they are now, both a very similar colour. I just need to square up the edges and glue them together. If I had the luxury of a thicknesser and jointer, I would be squaring the edges on a machine, but as it is, I shall have to do these by hand. A broken corner there, which we don't need.
He's gone mad.
That is square. It's amazing what you can actually feel with your fingertips. You'll pick up the slightest defect or deviation. Both planed square and flat. They'll be clamped down to this surface, which is nice and flat. We just want some tape on one of the back edges to stop any squeeze out. Like so. Obviously they need gluing up. You don't need a huge amount of glue. Probably a bit much on there. That now needs clamping together. As well as clamping both pieces together, they need to be clamped down so they stay flat and don't belly up. So that's it, all clamped up. It can stay like that for 24 hours. I've clamped the top surface, what will be the top surface of the guitar, to the bench because I want that perfectly flat, and any slight difference will come out on the back, and that can be planed or sanded out, although it's absolutely nominal at the minute, probably, I don't know, a fraction of a millimetre. In an ideal world, I'd have a great big thickness of sander that I could run it through, but it'll all be done by hand. Just working on some new ideas now to use up the offcuts of the old cutting table. Got in mind some sort of skeletal design with carbon fibre rods. We'll see how it pans out. Taking shape.
What on earth have I walked into here? He's gone mad.
My idea of Bo Diddley.
I was going to say I thought C16 was going to come in for a visit. What's happening?
Look at that.
What's this from?
That's the remnants of the old cutting table that I had some years ago that I made a few guitar bodies from. So I've got enough. I've got enough to make one normal guitar, and this is going to be a not normal guitar.
Yeah,
If that
appears
makes
so.
sense.
Appears so.
So that's the original surface, the working surface actually, when it was a cutting table. and that's just been planed off on the back.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at the difference in colour.
Sure, yeah. That's a cool table.
And there's my rough sketch, which won't make sense to anybody but me.
That's nice. The blueprint. Sound. Is this your first one that's like this?
Yeah, to be the only one.
The only one of one.
So you'll have a reclaimed body and a neck made from reclaimed mahogany, which is quite nice.
Sound. Else is cracking off today on the random visit to you. You've been doing all sorts.
I was looking at reclaimed wood, so there's another one that
love
is. I'm not quite decided what to do yet, but it's got a great pattern on the back. That's original.
Oh, yeah. Oh, is that a one piece?
That's and I'm thinking of rubbing gold leaf into it like that.
Sound. Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one sheet then. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll take some time to do that, but it'll be interesting.
That would be
quite nice.
Yeah. Cool. What else do we need to see? What's this been held together?
That is the other two pieces of the cutting table, which will be made into a more regular guitar.
Yeah.
And then I put together yesterday that's an old, I think it's Sapele.
Oh yeah.
But it's quite old. I mean, it's probably getting on for 100 years old. I don't quite know what we're going to do with that yet, but we shall see.
At least we know it's going to be seasoned accordingly.
Yes, absolutely.
Out of here. Cool. It's fab. Bit of a test.
Oh, that's... Yeah, you've not seen that one. And these are some blanks done with the honeycomb.
Yeah, the honeycomb's looking good.
That haven't been cut to size yet.
Oh, yeah. So is that...
I don't know whether I'll use them, I was just playing around, because I can.
Yeah, they're nice.
Ain't you got any work to go to anyway?
Navigation goes about the machinery of government, a lack of curiosity about how government works, let alone a lack of curiosity about what a process might be.
Kind of just making this up as I go along. You could spend hours making a jig like this, I guess, and 3D print it. I don't really see the point. Then again, I am a bit of a Luddite. Can't believe it, it's taken me all day. What a job. And we're nowhere near finished. I shall be in early in the morning to tidy up. Made it. And amazingly, all clean and tidy. Two-thirds done, I guess you could say. It's just stripped off the clamps from the old mahogany cutting table, which has given me a nice slab. And I shall leave that in the rack now until I work out what to do with it, but probably something along the lines of the original mahogany apostles, I would think. Talking about reclaimed materials, this is the original workbench which was owned and used by Tony Zamatis in the 60s and the 70s. And Tony made all his fabulous Zamatis guitars on this bench. I think every one graced this surface. If you don't know Zamatis guitars, have a look at them. They're really interesting. Bought by lots of famous British guitarists. Tony used to make the guitars, and then Danny O'Brien used to hand engrave the metal tops. Really interesting stuff. I bought it at auction at Gardner Houlgate, that you're probably all familiar with. The idea was to chop it up and make guitars out of it. When I got it back to the workshop, that did seem a bit sacrilegious. So I now use it as a proper workbench, and it's my favourite spot. I use it every day. Maybe a bit of Tony's magic will rub off, who knows. Just got to work this out now. Struggling with the bits I've got left. Planed these up. But there's a bad crack in this piece, so that's going to have to go. And I think I shall end up with two separate pieces pinned together with carbon fibre. And I may or may not make up that flap into a rounded edge like that with that bit of surplus, but I'm really scratching around now. Of course, any proper bloke could have had it all laid out before they started to make sure they had enough stuff. That crack is going to have to go. Should be able to get two good pieces, one there and one there. I shall cut both pieces on the chop saw, so obviously the angle will be the same on both. Two bits like that. Move the template out of the way. That will sit like that. A couple of carbon fibre rods through there, or I may use a small piece of ebony, not sure on that. There's a little bit of a crack just here. It's obviously very old and there's no sign of it having opened up anymore, but I'm going to reinforce it with some carbon fibre rod, which you won't be able to see when it's done. And I want to make up that bull nose there. It's only a fraction, about 8mm, but it'll work quite well. Just set up to drill out for the carbon fibre rods. Great fit. That surface will be hidden by the bull nose, which I've got to glue on, so I'm not bothered about these rod ends. Don't ask why I don't use a vise, I've got loads kicking around. Might be a good idea. Blunt hacksaw and tough carbon fibre. Bit of super glue. So they're sat just below the surface. And that'll be hidden when I cut and machine the bull nose and stick it on there like so. There's the rods for the other side. I'm going to recess those and decide how to make good the holes afterwards. When I first opened 14 or 15 years ago, I had some sort of heights of grandeur, although I kept them to myself. Maybe becoming something like Carmine Street Guitars in Manhattan. They used to make, or they still do make, lots of guitars from reclaimed woods. I think it's run by Cindy now, and I think it's branded as Cindy's Guitars. Really interesting place. Well worth watching the documentary. I think it's Channel 4, which is called Carmine Street Guitars. They have the great and the good come in, buying their products. You know, people like, I think Lou Reed features in the documentary. All sorts of folk, but let's face it, this is a back street in Nottingham, not downtown Manhattan. It ain't gonna happen.